Ladies and gentlemen, when a woman has just had sex, her body tells a story louder than words ever could. You'll see it in the glow of her skin, the softness in her eyes, the calm in her breath, and the magnetic energy she carries without even trying. It's not just desire, it's transformation. Her entire being radiates a truth that cannot be hidden. Stay with me, because once you understand these signs, you'll never look at a woman's presence the same way again. When a woman has just had sex, her body speaks a language that no words can fully capture. But you can sense it, you can feel it, and you can notice it if you're really paying attention. There is a glow that radiates from her, an undeniable energy that she carries in her posture, her breath, her expression. It's as if her entire being has been awakened, stirred, and reminded of the power of connection and intimacy. You'll see it in the softness of her eyes, the calmness in her demeanor, and the way her body moves with a kind of fluidity that only comes after surrendering to the intensity of passion. It's not just about the act itself, it's about what it unlocks within her. After sex, a woman carries a release, an unburdening of energy that might have been trapped inside her. You'll notice her skin has a warmth to it, her lips are fuller, her cheeks carry a flush, and her voice often drops to a gentler, slower rhythm. She doesn't even have to try. Her body reveals the truth without her saying a word. And this is not just biology, it is psychology, it is emotion, it is spirit. Her body becomes a mirror of the experience she has just gone through. There's something magnetic about this shift. You can walk into a room and without her saying anything, you'll know. Her confidence, even if subtle, grows in those moments. She's lighter, she's freer. She's more grounded in her feminine energy. She might laugh more openly, or she might sit more peacefully. But one thing is certain. There's a glow. That glow is her body's way of celebrating what she has just experienced. It's not only about pleasure, it's about connection. Her nervous system has been soothed, her body has been validated, her spirit has been reminded that she is desired, wanted, and touched in ways that resonate beyond skin, deep. This is the part many people overlook. They think it's just physical. They think it's just sweat, flushed cheeks, or heavy breathing. But it's much more profound than that. After sex, a woman carries the imprint of intimacy. Her oxytocin levels rise, her body is calmer, her stress melts, and her focus shifts. She becomes more receptive, more tender, and more aligned with her essence. You'll see her walk differently. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle, but if you know, you know. She carries herself like someone who has touched something sacred, even if just for a moment. The truth is, sex awakens something primal, but also something divine in her. She may not even be aware of it consciously, but it's there. The way she adjusts her hair, the way her eyes soften when they meet yours, the slight sway in her hips as she moves across the room, all of it tells a story of release, of intimacy, of fulfillment. Her body is an open book in those moments, and if you read it carefully, you'll understand what she has just experienced. There's also a contrast that's worth noticing. Before intimacy, a woman might be guarded, cautious, carrying the weight of her day, her responsibilities, her doubts. But afterward, you'll notice how those layers peel away. She is more present. She laughs with her whole chest. She listens more intently. She smiles without effort. And this doesn't mean sex defines her or her value. It means it reminds her of her natural state of flow, of ease, of joy. Her body tells the world she has connected to something that brings her alive, something that reminds her of her own worth and her own beauty. You can also sense it in her energy field. People may not always put it into words, but they feel it. When a woman has just had sex, she carries a vibration that others can pick up on. It's why sometimes she seems more attractive, more magnetic, more radiant in those moments. It's not makeup, it's not clothes, it's not an act, it's real. It's her body expressing the harmony of release, the glow of intimacy, and the confidence of being touched in a way that honors her. And here's the deeper truth. This is not just about physical desire. It's about emotional nourishment. A woman who feels desired, who feels seen, who feels valued in the bedroom, carries that outside the bedroom too. Her posture is straighter, her steps are lighter, her voice is steadier. You'll see the difference in the way she carries herself in conversations, the way she approaches challenges, the way she interacts with the world. Intimacy is fuel, and when it's good, when it's authentic, when it's rooted in real connection, it gives her a power that radiates in every direction. Notice the small details. Notice the way she breathes afterwards, slower, deeper, more grounded. Notice the way she closes her eyes, not from exhaustion, but from satisfaction. Notice the way her hand lingers when she touches her skin, or how she might absent-mindedly smile to herself. These are signs her body is still humming with the afterglow, still processing the energy, still reliving the echoes of the experience. Her body doesn't lie. Her body tells the story of what she has been through, and after sex, that story is written all over her. But this is also a reminder of responsibility. When you realize how much intimacy shapes a woman, how deeply it affects not only her body, but her spirit, you start to see that this is not something casual. This is not something to take lightly. Her body remembers, her heart remembers. And if she has been cherished, loved, and respected in that moment, it will show. But if she has been dismissed, used, or disconnected, that will show too. Her energy, her glow, her presence. They are the reflection of what kind of intimacy she has received. When you see that light in her, when you see her walk into a room with that effortless radiance, understand it's not an accident. It's a signal of fulfillment, of connection, of life force energy moving freely within her. Her body has been unlocked, her emotions have been validated, and her spirit has been uplifted. That is the truth her body tells. When you see that light in her, when you see her walk into a room with that effortless radiance, understand it's not an accident. It's a signal of fulfillment, of connection, of life force energy moving freely within her. Her body has been unlocked, her emotions have been validated, and her spirit has been uplifted. That is the truth her body tells. And if you look deeper, you'll realize it's not only her physical appearance that shifts, it's the energy she radiates outward. People may not consciously know why, but they feel drawn to her. She has an aura of magnetism that cannot be fabricated, an invisible glow that says she has been touched by something real. She doesn't even need to speak, because her silence carries weight. Her presence carries proof. That's the difference between someone who is empty and someone who is full. A woman after sex, when she has been honored and cherished, carries fullness within her, and that fullness spills out into every part of her being. You'll notice how her laughter changes. Before, it might have been polite, restrained, or forced, but afterward, it becomes rich, deep, and authentic. You'll hear how her voice softens, but gains strength at the same time. That's the paradox. Sex doesn't make her weaker. It makes her stronger. It anchors her, reminds her of her own value, and connects her back to her body in a way that life's demands sometimes pull her away from. That reconnection is powerful. It recharges her spirit, it balances her energy, and it awakens her natural rhythm. Even the way she touches others changes. Her hugs become warmer, her presence more nurturing, her kindness more intentional. Because once she has received intimacy in its purest form, she has more to give. She doesn't pour from an empty cup. She pours from abundance, and everyone around her feels that. Her coworkers, her friends, her family, even strangers she interacts with, they all sense the shift without knowing its source. That's how powerful intimacy is when it's genuine. It doesn't just stay in the bedroom. It ripples outward into the world around her, and her confidence, it cannot be ignored. She carries a self-assurance that doesn't need validation. Her walk has rhythm, her gestures have grace, her eyes have certainty. She is not begging for attention. She already has it from within. That is the most magnetic quality of all. She doesn't need to prove anything. She doesn't need to fight for recognition, because she is already aligned with her worth. Her body has reminded her of it, her spirit has reclaimed it, and her energy shows it. Even in stillness, you can feel it. The way she sits with herself, the calm in her posture, the ease in her breath. Everything about her whispers a truth that only intimacy can unlock. That truth is not about the act itself, but about what the act does to her soul. It validates her, nourishes her, and lifts her into a state of wholeness. And when she is whole, she is unstoppable. That's why people can't quite describe it when they say, she's glowing. They're right, but it's more than a glow. It's alignment, it's vitality, it's the essence of her awakened femininity shining through every cell of her being. And you must understand, this glow is sacred. It's not about conquest. It's not about ego. It's not about proving anything. It's about honoring the truth of her body, the depth of her emotions, and the fire of her spirit. When she has just had sex, and when it has been real, she becomes a walking reminder of what intimacy truly means. She becomes evidence that connection is not just physical. It is spiritual, emotional, and transformative. That is why her body tells the story without her saying a single word. And if you take the time to truly observe, you'll see that her glow isn't just a fleeting moment. It lingers after, sometimes even the next day. Her presence still carries that subtle electricity, like the echo of a song that keeps playing long after the music has stopped. Her skin remains softer, her expressions more open, her movements more fluid. It's as though her body is still resonating with the rhythm of what she experienced, and that resonance cannot be hidden. It flows into her gestures, into her choices, even into the way she looks at herself in the mirror. There's a particular kind of peace that comes over her, the kind of peace that can't be faked. She doesn't rush as much. She doesn't worry as loudly. She doesn't carry the tension she once did. Her body shows release, and that release translates into freedom. People underestimate how much stored tension weighs down the human spirit. After sex, when she's been touched with care, that weight is lifted, and you'll notice how much lighter she feels in her own skin. That lightness is visible in the way she stretches, the way she breathes deeply, the way she lets herself simply exist without forcing or pretending. What's most powerful is how it shifts her relationship with her own body. In the aftermath of intimacy, she feels more at home within herself. Her insecurities soften, her doubts quiet, and her confidence grows not because someone told her she's beautiful, but because her body has been reminded of it in the most natural way. She doesn't need to cover herself in layers of approval from the world. She already carries it inside. That is what makes her magnetic. That is why people notice the difference without always knowing why. Even in her silence, there's a richness, a depth that people can sense. Her stillness is no longer empty, it's alive with meaning. When she looks at you, her eyes don't just glance. They pierce, they embrace, they carry the weight of her experience. And when she smiles, it's not just an expression, it's a revelation. A revelation that she has been reminded of her power, her worth, and her softness all at once. The fascinating thing is that this transformation is not just visible to others. It's something she feels deep within herself. She walks taller, not because someone asked her to, but because she feels supported by her own body. She speaks clearer, not because she's trying to impress, but because her voice has found freedom again. She takes up space in a way that feels natural, unapologetic, and grounded. That is the true afterglow. And when you realize this, you begin to understand why intimacy is not just physical, it is spiritual fuel. It is what brings her back to herself, what strips away the heaviness of the world, what reintroduces her to the parts of herself she may have forgotten. Her body, after sex, becomes a reflection of that rediscovery. It whispers of freedom, of connection, of the kind of power that only comes when vulnerability is met with respect and passion is met with tenderness. That is the beauty of what you'll notice. And that is why her body will always reveal the truth. That is the beauty of what you'll notice. And that is why her body will always reveal the truth. There's a rhythm to her energy that becomes impossible to ignore. It's almost like she carries a song within her, one that doesn't need to be sung aloud because it vibrates through her every move. The cadence of her steps, the sway of her hips, the tilt of her head, all of it harmonizes into a melody of confidence and freedom. You might not hear it with your ears, but you'll feel it with your presence. She doesn't have to announce it because her body has already spoken the words in silence, and that silence is often louder than anything she could ever say. What you'll also notice is how she becomes more magnetic in her interactions. It's not about seduction. It's about authenticity. People are drawn to her not because she is trying to be desirable, but because she is already connected to her own sense of desire and fulfillment. That self-possession makes her radiant. It makes her conversations more engaging, her laughter more intoxicating, and her presence more grounding. The beauty of it lies in its naturalness. Nothing is forced, nothing is fabricated, it simply is. Her creativity often flourishes in this space as well. After sex, her mind tends to open, her thoughts flow more freely, and her inspiration awakens in ways it didn't before. The release her body has felt creates room for imagination, for vision, for new ideas to be born. You'll see it in the way she expresses herself, whether it's in her work, her art, her conversations, or even the way she plans her life. Intimacy doesn't just recharge her body, it rejuvenates her spirit, and that spark of renewal pours into everything she touches. There's also a healing element you cannot overlook. So often the body carries unspoken tension, unexpressed emotions, and unshed tears. When she has just had sex, and it has been real, her body lets go of that burden, even if only for a while. You'll see it in the softness of her shoulders, In the calm of her breath, in the absence of resistance in her posture. She has released something, and in that release, she finds healing. It's not always visible on the surface, but if you look closely, you'll see the difference. She is lighter because the weight she once held has been replaced with peace. And perhaps the most profound part is how this glow influences her sense of direction. When her body has been awakened in such a way, she becomes more attuned to herself, more aligned with her instincts. Decisions become clearer, boundaries become stronger, dreams feel closer. It's as though the experience reconnects her with the compass she already carries inside, and suddenly she walks forward with a clarity that commands respect. That's what happens when the body has been honored. It doesn't just show in the glow of her skin, it shows in the path she chooses to take next.